Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Shahryar Idris again, your host for today's Daftar Khan Insight session, which is brought to you in collaboration with the Hindsight's company. As have previously iterated as well, I'd like to bring that up again in this session. In the intro, Daftar Khan has been offering some great, fabulous solutions for your workplace, which you must check out on our social pages on Insta, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you are. And you can keep yourselves updated with the solutions which can help your businesses flourish, particularly in these COVID times when you are thinking to reevaluate and realign where you should be basing your employees, your workforce, and they should come in extremely handy for you. So do check them out. They're extremely useful, and I'm sure that you will benefit from them. So that was about Dr. Khan and a brief intro. Now to today's session. I would first like to talk briefly about the speaker who we have with us today. This is Rao Murtaza Hashim. Now, Murtaza, as far as the person himself is concerned, he is extremely soft, humble, uh, and easygoing as he looks in his outlook. However, don't be misled. He is really steadfast and he's really immaculate when it comes to his business leadership. And he has led multiple businesses and multiple lines across different continents and different geographies so far in his professional career. He has been involved with telco as well as mobile financial services, and now very recently as part of his own venture he's now into manufacturing. So some great stuff that he's been engaged in so far. He's worked with global companies including Millicom, as well as China Mobile, G4S, and now he has recently founded Industrial Supermarkets, which is a precision engineering company working out of Dubai and Pakistan. And he has actually been able to branch his company and his concern into multiple lines, and it's still evolving, which is pretty interesting. And he'll, I'm sure, briefly talk about that in his talk as well. Now, to okay, so uh, just a little bit on the tangent. Sorry for the interruption. Uh, Murtaza, can you kindly mute your mic? There's a little bit of noise that I'm hearing. Okay, great. All right. So, so I was talking about the theme now for today's session. Now, Murtaza comes with a background of both engineering as well as business. And I'm sure that as far as I know, whatever he's involved with, he has actually been able to utilize most of that in his career. He's been implementing that and relearning and coming up with different stuff, and has had immense success in his career in the multiple engagements that he's been up with. So he's been kind to bring that essence to us in this talk. He'll be talking about how to drive your business, particularly in the chaotic situations, particularly relevant to today's times. We know that Corona offers to us a scenario which is very similar. Lots of uncertainty, anxiety, indecisiveness at times as well. So it's pretty tough. And I'm sure that today's talk will give you a lot of insight, give us a lot of insight as to how take our concern and take our businesses forward and make them count in these tough times. So before I hand it over to Murtaza now, just a brief comment. As far as your questions or your comments are concerned, please put them in the comments, and we will be glad to take them towards the end of the session after the presentation, and we'd love to talk about them. So Now, without further delay, let me hand it over to Rao Murtaza. Welcome, Murtaza.
Thank you for the generous introduction, Sharyar.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Okay. So, should we start the session?
Sure, go ahead, please.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do you guys see my slide? Do you see the slide on the?
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah, visible.
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so perhaps I would like to. I mean, I think it's a very broad and a very challenging topic. Business management in chaotic environments. I would like to start with a disclaimer. I'm no expert on this topic, so I'm just here to share my learnings, whatever little learnings I have from my experience in working in emerging markets in Africa, in Latin America, and Southeast Asia. So I have worked in a number of markets where apparently, there's apparent chaos, but still, there is some you could predict to some level of certainty what's going to happen as well. So I'll share those learnings as we go along. So let me start with introducing industrial supermarkets. So we are a precision engineering company based out of Dubai and Pakistan. We specialize in designing, prototyping, and manufacturing components, sub-assemblies, and finished goods. We primarily have two core competencies. We can make things out of cloth, and we can make things out of metal. And as far as metal is concerned, we can do it at very high precision. We have a solid expertise as far as cloth textiles is concerned as well. And this goes back to later on, as you will see, our response to Corona basically was used our core competencies, and what the two services the two products that we launched during the Corona period. It was on things that we understand well. Because when there is chaos all around, you have to bank on what you know. Otherwise, you don't. There's not much room for experimentation. It can be quite costly. So in the talk, so we'll be discussing four things. We'll start off with identifying entry into chaotic environment early enough. This is very important, and then we'll go on to discuss what are the possible causes of chaos. And then we will talk about what a business should focus on in a chaotic environment, and then we'll go on to discuss what did industrial supermarkets do during the Corona pandemic. Starting off with the first one. So identifying entry into chaotic environment early enough. So early enough is the key here. If you look at it, Corona is the most recent. It's very fresh in all our minds. I think anyone who did anything different from what they normally do during the Corona pandemic period, they did it quite early on. They started working on it prior to December last year. So they were anticipating something's coming. You could be wrong, but if you are close to what's happening at the international, whichever business you are in, if you're close to the market environment and what's going on in various countries, you get a sense, that this is, you get sort of a feel for that, something drastic could happen right? And so as far as we are concerned, the two services we started off during the Corona period. One of them we were working on it prior to December and 2019, and the second one we started working on it in January, late January. So it was quite early on. So identifying, entry into a chaotic environment early enough is very important. Uh, Ambiguity is, I mean, this picture is, I think it describes me in a normal day. It is, in any normal, even in normal times, there's a lot of, ambiguity around the business. It's difficult to you're constantly anticipating what could happen in the market and taking decisions today, which puts you in a better competitive position for the market environment that you are anticipating. So you deal with ambiguity all the time. However, chaos, in a chaotic environment, it takes ambiguity to a whole different level because the norms of the market, they completely change, and it's, I think the best way to put it is, I mean, a lot of business managers, they rely on experience. Experience is good, but sometimes experience could be limiting if you don't use it properly. So I think in chaotic environments, it's basically wisdom that experience with wisdom. That's important because you cannot scientifically and logically prove what you are saying. It's just a feel that you have for what's going to happen, and because it's not happened yet, you cannot use the tools, the business tools. You cannot do proper research. It's just a feel for the market, and anyone who's close enough to his suppliers and anyone who's close enough to his customers, he has that feel, and that prevents you from taking the wrong decision. So it keeps you on the right side. So the main point here is, you have to anticipate and identify that you're about to enter a situation which is chaotic quite early on. The second thing is you have to understand, what's causing the chaos. It could be war, it could be a major technology change, it could be a regulatory change. It could be, these three are quite intuitive. But if you look at supply disruption, I mean, last year, part of my business is we supply. I contract manufacture dyes in China, and then I sell them to textile industry here in Pakistan. There was a massive explosion in a dye factory in China in Q1 last year, which had an impact on 30% of the world's supply of dyes. Overnight, the price of dyes increased by about 4 to 5 times overnight. So anyone who had a stock of dyes, its value, it just exploded, and anyone who didn't, his cost just went up. A supply disruption and many, no one could anticipate that, but but if you look at it, the reason that disruption happened is because some standards were not being followed in some factories in China, which were a major player in the dye industry. So health and safety standards were not there. So people who were close enough to those factories, I guess they could anticipate. We sitting here abroad, it was difficult to anticipate, but people who did, they were better prepared to deal with it. The other thing, a possible cause could be a drastic change in competitive environment. So, I mean, in the telecom industry here in Pakistan, entry of, Telenor and Varid, they came in quite late. So that's, it changed a Norwegian player or someone from the Middle East coming in. It drastically changed the competitive environment in Pakistan. And the last one is pandemic. So you could list more, but what's important here is when you have to identify what's the cause of the chaos, because that's going to that will help in coming up with the right response to the chaos. And that's very important, because if the response is not right, you just end up burning cash. So for large corporates, they can sustain, they can possibly sustain the burning of cash, but for SMEs, it could be, they could potentially go bankrupt. So it's very important that the decisions that you're making and the feel that you have for the market is on the right footing. It should not be based on assumptions. You should be close enough with the customers and the suppliers, and to take the right fact-based decisions once you've identified the cause for the chaos. So what should a business focus on in a chaotic environment? So, financial, I think what most businesses do is they focus, big corporates, they would focus on financial results. And I put this on the slide as well. It's called results for a reason. It's not something to focus on. It's the result of other things that you do in business. So I think there are 4 items that hold the key to performing well in a chaotic environment. Strategy. So normally, companies, they visit their strategy, probably as part of their annual reviews. But in a chaotic environment, market is changing so quickly. You have to revisit strategy on a daily basis, and to make sure that what you are doing makes sense. What you're doing, is it leading to the intended results or not? So you have to look at that on a daily basis. Fact-based decision making becomes critical, because market is changing so quickly that you can easily get swayed. So you have to separate what you know for sure and what you don't know, and what you think likely is true, right? So you have to separate facts from fiction, and you have to take decisions as much as possible based on facts. That's what you should do. I guess that has to be done in normal environments as well, but it's very critical to get this right in chaotic environments. Culture is extremely important, because it's some organizations, they could be top led, so there are very experienced people who are driving the business at the top, but they are not necessarily as close to the customers. So there has to be a culture which encourages collaboration, where people who are close to customers, people who are close to suppliers, they not just they don't just execute, they get involved in the strategic thinking inside the company. So this is very important in a chaotic environment. And I'll tell you later on. Our industrial supermarkets, I guess we are fairly small, which is a good thing in a chaotic environment, because the larger the organization is, the more difficult it is to have these 4 things, to influence these 4 things. And then the 4th one is capability. If you end up doing something which is outside your comfort zone, then you need to make sure that you have the right capability in place. But in my experience, the best the best thing to do in such environments is to look at what your core capabilities are and see how you can apply them to the new business environment, on which product it could be applied or what service you could do. So rather than completely reinventing yourself in terms of capability, you would go back to your core and and um, and use that to launch something, or to accelerate the growth of some service in the chaos. So the next one is what we have been doing. So industrial supermarkets, so prior to Corona, we were into as I said, we were into dyes. So I contract manufacture dyes in China, and I sell into the textile industries, dyeing houses here in Pakistan. We also manufacture, we have a cutting and stitching operation. We manufacture textile goods, specifically lab coats, for example, and we export them into Europe. And then I represent the leading CAM company in the world called Mastercam here in Pakistan, and we work in computer-aided manufacturing and computer-aided design space here. So, which primarily means we as I said before, so we are good with textiles. We can make things out of cloth, and we can make things out of metal. And when we were trying to figure out what to do, in January, things started to slow down, as far as dye purchases were concerned. In February, some of the companies, they started to have cash flow issues. So, we were anticipating that something's coming. It was at that stage difficult to guess, that it's going to be at such a massive global scale. But we could feel that something is coming, which was starting to impact our core business. And that's when, once we knew that, it's going to be something which would require masks, we decided that, okay, mask is something which is made of cloth. At that stage, there was no equipment available to make masks as well. But that's where our expertise around metals, we can make things out of metal. So we made equipment to make masks, and we understood cloth as well. So that's how we ended up into. So we knew that there will be a demand for masks. We started off, our earlier versions were not as good as our most latest one, but we had something to go to market with, and that's what we did. We instead of waiting for something to make something perfect, we launched what we could within a month. So we were live in early March. We were selling masks, so within a month. And then we went through a number of versions, and right now today I'm at a stage. I just applied for a CE certification to export masks out of Pakistan. And I plan to do the same, get an FDA certification as well, which is the next bit. I think we've come a long way in these 6 months, but it was because we knew what our core capability was, and we used that to identify opportunity. Okay, there's going to be a demand for masks, and we just went ahead and did that, and we just learned all along the way. That's where the culture and we were discussing our strategy, on a daily basis, and everyone used to get involved, because there are people in different cities, and so whatever you're doing, you have to, if you take input from everyone and everyone, works together, then you don't get surprises. You know what to focus on and where the money is going to come from, as they say. And the second, the first bit, I would say it's not as difficult to make three-ply disposable masks, but it was, I guess, the speed of execution, and we had the long term in mind. So instead of doing something very short term, we took a decision. Okay, we're going to play in this space in the long term, and we took decisions early on to make sure that we whatever investments we make, they are not just for this month, next month, or next 4 or 5 months. Is for years to come. So that's but still, that being said, three-ply, it's not too complicated to make these, especially if you have some manufacturing background around textiles. The second bit is we launched a Vane pump. We started manufacturing cartridges for Vane pumps. These are used in injection molding equipment. So anything made of plastic is made in injection molding using injection molding equipment, and the thing that drives your Vane pump is part of that injection molding equipment, and it's after every few years you have to replace a cartridge inside that pump. Currently, it's not manufactured in Pakistan. It's imported from Europe and from China, and there is a market where people buy it locally, and then they try to salvage different parts from different places and sell it on. Which makes it very difficult for end users to judge the quality of what they are buying. So we are the first and only company currently in Pakistan that's manufacturing cartridges for the Vane pump, and this is something which is very difficult to do because of the level of precision that it requires. And this is something that it took us a long time, and since it's difficult to do, there's no competition also. So in that sense, it's a good space. If you have the capability to get it right, then it's a good you can't go wrong by doing it. Because there are a lot of injection molding setups in Pakistan. But our vision is not for Pakistan. We plan to export this. For us, Pakistan is a test grounds. We have a plan that in this year we're going to establish ourselves here, and then we go outside into Europe, where the price points are considerably higher than in Pakistan. So these are the two things that we did in the Corona pandemic. This is a picture of the Vane pump cartridge. For those of you who are associated with injection molding, they would recognize this. Those of you who are not, I think it's really the tolerances required to make this. It's not very forgiving. So it's difficult to get this right, and that's why it took us a long time to start to manufacture this. So this is what we have done during the talk. So we started off with identifying entry into. We said that it's important to identify entry into a chaotic environment very early on, and I gave you the example of our example where we got the signals from the market, December, January, early February, and based on that we launched 2 new services. We launched 3-ply disposable masks and the cartridge for the Vane pump. So we could not have done it if we did not identify early enough what was to come. Um, and then we went on to discuss, what's pinpoint, how important it is to pinpoint the cause for the chaos, what a business should focus on in a chaotic environment. It's really four things that one has to focus on. It's the strategy, the fact-based strategy, fact-based decision making, and the culture and capability. These are the four things, and not the financial results. Financial results will take care of themselves. Yes, of course, one has to manage cash flow. That's very important, but that would come. That would be the outcome of effectively managing the strategy and fact-based decision making. So these are the four things one has to focus on. And the financial results, they pretty much take care of themselves. And then last, we discussed what industrial supermarkets did during the corona pandemic. So these are the four things we talked about. And I think that brings us to the end of the talk. Back to you, Sharia. I hope you can hear me.
Yes. Thank you, Murza. I think this was really informative and insightful at the same time. And I'm really thinking, how you have actually pivoted and come out very strongly in these tough times. And this actually takes me back to one of the talks that I did some time back. The topic of that was leadership in times of crisis. And one of the things that I talked about in that particular session was that in chaos, a lot of the times people are thinking and they are overthinking, and they're talking and they're over talking. But the main issue in that sort of a situation is that nobody is taking any step. There is no initiative, there's no action, and that is where a lot of the companies actually go down suffering because of indecisiveness and inaction. There's so much of rumor mill developing that people become psychologically weak. And we have actually in terms of our interactions with different leaders, what we have been able to actually find out is that if you're able to execute, if you're able to define your direction in these tough times, and at least start moving, people have got some sense of calmness, because then they're in their own mind become relatively clearer, because there are they based on some wisdom, as you also said, that you don't always have the right experience, you don't always have the numbers, because these are the situations which are actually kind of unprecedented, and there would be situations that you may have been in before, but then there are scenarios which nobody's actually seen in the past. So there you have to have that kind of a wisdom, that sort of a sense, or some maturity, which helps you progress in a certain direction, start moving, and that is so very important. Otherwise, it just grows on your mind, and you just kind of numb and start looking dumb at the same time. But yeah, great. I think great points that you've made, and I'm actually surprised to know, and presently surprised to know that you had started working on those masks and a couple of other associated products as early as in December, early December, end of December, as you said.
Yeah, Vane pumps. It was as early as December, even earlier than December. So But the masks, we started to work on them in. We were thinking in January, and we had decided what we are doing in February, and we launched in
Mm.
early March. Because masks are also of different types. So it was a very conscious decision to enter into three-ply masks and not
Yeah.
KN95 masks, which
Yeah.
was where everyone was after KN95 masks.
Yeah.
But we went towards three-ply masks for a reason.
Yeah, because again, at the same time, as you mentioned as well in your talk, that speed of execution is the key. Because you may be able to actually get some wisdom, around the idea, and come up with some sort of a direction. But then at the same time, if you are too late in coming up with that sort of a consensus or a decision, then again you've kind of lost it, because there may be many other players who would be taking that opportunity, because at the end of the day, what happens in these times of crisis is that your regular lines of businesses, or your regular kind of concerns, or your regular product lines, they become affected, and then everybody's thinking what to do, and there those x number of things which you really come on top of the list, and then those products or those lines very quickly start getting flooded, and you get overwhelmed with the number of people, the number of companies and organizations actually getting into that space. So that really could be extremely overwhelming and
Yeah.
extremely over
Yeah, I
competitive.
mean, yeah, so spot on. I think that's why I said that it's very important to look at the four things on a daily basis. So you have to, because in chaos, everything is changing so quickly. And also things may not be changing quickly, but it's possible that you took a decision today based on what you knew today, and you found out something new tomorrow, so you have to revisit what you did yesterday. And so you are executing and thinking simultaneously. So it's not like a phased process where you think, you execute. For long term, you're sort of thinking and executing on a daily basis. Um, I mean, in our experience, that's important.
Yeah, that's very true. Murtha, I would also like to know from your experience, because this is your kind of first venture, or first time you've actually rolled out an own concern. And before this, you've been all along in the job market. You've been working with different global companies, looking after their concerns and their lines of products and businesses across the world. So how has this transition been, and is it really smooth, coming from that part of the world, I would say, to this one? Or is it really a gradient of change, or a complete paradigm shift? So how has this change been for you?
I think even though I was working for big corporates for most of my career. I think, especially, I can say near the end of the last few years of my corporate life, even though I was working for a big corporate, I was pretty much I used to do things as if I was running my own business. In the end, it's I think, you have to